From Weston McKennie shining alongside Cristiano Ronaldo to Christian Pulisic slowly becoming one of Chelsea's most valuable players, there are more and more Americans breaking into the top flights of European football. The future for the US men's national team has never appeared so bright, and could be building towards something special during this decade. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at what's going on with the US, and if a serious World Cup challenge could be on the cards. Over the past 5 years, the US has improved their FIFA rankings by 12 places, and are currently ranked 20th in the world. And this is unsurprising given all the young talent that is slowly breaking into the first team. All these improvements have a lot of fans hopeful that the US could soon field a competitive football team, and all eyes are on the 2026 World Cup. The last time the US hosted a World Cup in 1994, the MLS wasn't even created yet. But the North American World Cup in 6 years' time will have a completely different feel to it, and there seems to be growing optimism around the increasing popularity of the sport in the country. And to really achieve this success, the US seem to have outlined 3 key components on how to make this a reality. The first is developing young football players. The US has invested heavily on academies and developing homegrown talent over the past decade. The aim, according to the former US soccer president Carlos Cordero, is to put football on a new and sustainable path for generations to come. And their patience seems to be finally paying off, with more and more young talent coming through the ranks and gaining valuable experience over in Europe. So who are these key players? Let's take a look at what potential starting 11 could look like in 2026. Obviously, this is a long way down the road, so things are set to change, but potentially the US could field a very strong team with the players they have at their disposal right now. We'll get into more detailed tactics further on in the video, but for simplicity, let's assume the US will line up with a 4-2-3-1, as this has been a relatively common formation for them recently. The 26-year-old goalkeeper Zach Steffen has only featured once this season, but being second to Ederson is certainly no underachievement. The $7 million transfer fee was the most an MLS team has ever received for a goalkeeper, and he's sure to continue developing over the next few seasons. By the time the 2026 World Cup comes around, Steffen will be 32 years old, a prime age for a top-flight goalkeeper. The current defensive partnership of Brooks and Long is certainly going to be at the heart of the US team in the 2022 World Cup, but the future may look to younger stars in Anderlecht's Matt Miazga and Hoffenheim's Chris Richards. Miazga has been a consistent starter for Anderlecht and excels in his defensive abilities, while also having an above-average pass completion rate in the team. And while his co-national Richards has not featured as frequently as Miazga, the centre-back has played alongside Lewandowski, Thomas Müller and Manuel Neuer. The 6'2" centre-back uses his size to his advantage by being great in the air and at blocking shots from the strikers. While his loan at Hoffenheim should see his game time improve, he's certainly in great hands to develop at Bayern Munich. In the right-back position, the States already have some fantastic options with Adams, Dest and Reynolds. But for the future, the US looks likely to build around Barcelona's right-back in Serginho Dest. The 20-year-old is already a key member of the US and of Barcelona, having featured 19 times this season and picking up 2 goals and an assist, threatening defences with his dribbles and short tiki-taka passes. Playing alongside Lionel Messi will certainly boost his confidence, and will see him develop as a serious threat. At left-back, the team can rely on Fulham's Anthony Robertson. The 23-year-old has been a consistent starter all season, and has developed an excellent partnership with Lookman on the flank. Although yet to provide an assist, Robertson provides 1.1 key passes per game and 1.3 crosses. Not bad for a team in a relegation battle. From the midfield, the US already has an incredibly strong lineup, which is certain to develop even further over the next few seasons. The 2 holding mids of McKennie and Adams, if not playing as right back, will provide an excellent cover and transitional speed. McKennie has already featured many times for Juventus this season, and has proven to be an excellent box-to-box midfielder, able to link Juventus' defensive block with the strikers. With 5 goals and 2 assists, the US would be foolish not to build a team around the 22-year-old, who will be in his prime for the 2026 World Cup. The 3 more attacking midfielders will certainly feature Dortmund's Giovanni Reina and Chelsea's Christian Pulisic. Not much else needs to be said about Pulisic. At just 22, he's the most high-profile player from the US in the last few years, and certainly one of the main reasons as to why the US has sent so many young prospects to play in the top European leagues. His pace and his dribbling are mesmerising, and will be a key player for club and country in the next decade. Similarly, Borussia Dortmund's Giovanni Reina is already one of their best players, and at just 18 years old has notched 3 goals and 5 assists this season. Playing in a young and electric side alongside some of the best young talent in the world, such as Sancho and Haaland, will help Reina take his game to the next level. The final midfielder is a tough choice, but I think Lille's Timothy Weah will be a great pick to rely on. The 21-year-old Lille forward has featured many times this season and has been a key late substitution during Lille's title challenge. Having played in many different positions, he would be an excellent fit out wide, using his pace and dribbling to cut inside and provide the striker with through balls. Finally, the US also have some great young strikers at their disposal, with 21-year-old Josh Sargent being a likely first-team choice over the next few tournaments. According to his Werder Bremen coach, he could soon become one of the best strikers in the league. This season he's already got 7 goals and 3 assists, and is constantly developing his game. With a strong creative attacking mid, he's certain to find many goal-scoring opportunities for his national team. In 2026, the average age of the team we outlined today will be 26.9 years old, which places the squad in its prime to compete in time for the World Cup. And the prospect of all these young players working together is something we've already seen to some extent with the Under-23s World Cup, with the US national team reaching the quarter-final stage. But having a good squad is only half the job, and the US will require an excellent manager able to fit all this young talent into one team. Which brings us nicely to the second component which will help them compete, the modernization of their tactics. For far too long, the States seem to have adopted a reactive style of football, allowing the opposition to stick to their game plan and to potentially hit them on the counter if their attacks break down. However, the lack of right personnel, along with other teams around them further developing their game, led to frequent negative performances, a highlight of which was not qualifying for the 2018 World Cup in Russia. Fortunately, head coach Greg Berhalter seems to be the right man to help them shift out of this reactive stage into a more proactive team. Under Berhalter, tactics have taken a far more central stage than either Arena or Klinsmann before him. First off, one notable change that is immediately visible is their high press. While at the start of Berhalter's career the team would attempt a mid-block defensive structure, the team struggled to stop teams from advancing through the middle, and often found themselves in a disjointed press, making it easy for the opposition to move the ball through the lines. However, more recently the team has adopted a more aggressive mentality to winning the ball back, with the front three pressing high up the pitch and playing with a high defensive line. This leads us nicely into the second modernization that Berhalter has adopted within his national team, and that is the formation he chooses to use. In a recent friendly against Northern Ireland, the team experimented quite successfully with a 3-4-3 formation, allowing Reina and Pulisic to play in the half spaces, with the two wingbacks in Dest and Robertson overlapping and providing width and crosses into the striker Siebatcheu. The 3-4-3 is a formation that's gained a lot of popularity in recent years thanks to world-class managers such as Antonio Conte and Thomas Tuchel. It's a formation that would suit a more aggressive and progressive US team, and is definitely an improvement over the 4-4-2 used by Arena and Klinsmann before him. Now, the 2026 World Cup is a long way away, and there's no guarantee that Berhalter will still be the head coach. And while he may be helping the US transition into this new era of football, there's certainly other fantastic managers that come to mind. One ideal candidate for the job would be Red Bull Salzburg's Jesse Marsch. His football has been exciting to watch and has recently become the first American coach to win a Champions League match. His tactics and philosophy are based on 3 elements of speed, pressing and verticality, with a Salzburg team that is not afraid to play long passes into the strikers or to disrupt the opposition as much as possible with an aggressive high press. His tactics take the front stage over any formation, often switching from his preferred 4-2-2-2 to even a 4-3-1-2 diamond. And these are 2 formations that could suit the US quite nicely, with Sargent and Weah up top, Pulisic and Reina on the flanks, and McKennie and Adams having more space in the midfield. Finally, the third point that will help the US compete in 2026 is the often underestimated home advantage. The previous World Cups suggest any advantage really lies with teams competing on their home continent. Of these 20 World Cups, all winners have come from either Europe or South America, with European winners traditionally dominating European World Cups, and South American teams doing likewise on their home continent. Only once has a South American won in Europe, and only once has a European won in South America. And so it's certainly an advantage that needs to be considered, and potentially the US was aware of this when bidding for the 2026 World Cup, understanding that although on the right track, the 2022 World Cup was a little too soon for their investments to take full effect. So, to recap, an increased investment in young players, developing modern tactics, and a home advantage are 3 key elements that could push the United States to success in 2026. Like I said, the 2026 World Cup is a long way down the road, and things are set to change. But I hope this video helps understand what's going on overseas, and how the US could potentially become one of the biggest football teams in the world. And obviously, there's still the World Cup in Qatar in 2022 for the US to prove the direction that they're heading in. And while I don't think they'll be able to compete with some of the bigger nations in 2022, I certainly feel it will give us a good understanding of the direction that they're heading in, and potentially make it out of the group stages into the knockout rounds. That is if they qualify, which they haven't yet. But hey, these are just my thoughts, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. Do you think the US will soon be able to field a competitive football team? And do you think that all these investments will pay off for them in the long run? If you like this type of video, then please let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.